Welcome to the fashion algorithm. Ever feel like the fashion world is just spinning incredibly fast, almost dizzyingly so?
Yeah, you're definitely not alone there.
It feels like everyone's talking about it. And, the latest from the Business of Fashion McKinsey and Company's 2025 report actually puts a word on it. Uncertainty for the second year running.
That's right. It's a persistent feeling, isn't it?
Mhm.
Across the
It
board.
really is. But okay, here's what I find compelling. This deep dive, it isn't just about dwelling on the problems, right? It's about finding those bright spots amidst all this, well, uncertainty.
Exactly. Looking for the opportunities.
Yeah, and we're going to explore how these next-gen technologies, things like generative AI, advanced 3D design, sophisticated machine learning, how they're more than just buzzwords. They're like actual tools giving businesses a real competitive edge.
Tangible tools.
So our mission today really is to pull out the most important bits of knowledge from a recent BOF live chat. It featured Maximilien Abadie from Lectra and Andrea Pavon from Beyond Luxury Group.
Great conversation, that one.
Absolutely. And we want to show you exactly what their insights mean for you, specifically if you're working in the fast-paced world of fashion e-commerce.
Wait, yeah. How it applies on the ground.
Okay, before we jump in, though, this deep dive is brought to you by Cloutfit.ai. That's spelled Cloutfit.ai.
Right.
Cloutfit.ai connects influencer outfits directly to your product inventory, so it makes their content instantly shoppable. The idea is driving more sales and higher order value. It's about turning that inspiration into like immediate action.
Making it seamless.
Exactly. So to learn more about how Cloutfit.ai can maybe revolutionize your online sales strategy, just visit Cloutfit.ai today.
Cloutfit.ai. Got it.
Okay, so let's really get into this idea of uncertainty. It sounds a bit big and maybe daunting, but our sources, they give us a framework, right?
They do. Andrea Pavon, she uses a specific term.
What is it? What does she call this environment businesses are operating in now, and how's it different from, the past?
Yeah, what's really fascinating here is how Andrea Pavon, she's from Beyond Luxury Group, they focus on guiding luxury brands through digital transformation. She describes the current environment using the acronym VUCA.
VUCA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And she really emphasizes that this is nothing like the world that we used to see in the past, which was quite linear, didn't move a lot, slow.
Right. Predictable seasons, slow trends.
Exactly. Think about it. A few decades ago, fashion cycles, they were predictable. Trends evolved pretty slowly. Supply chains were, well, relatively straightforward. You could plan a collection maybe a year, sometimes more in advance and kind of expect it to perform.
Yeah, those days seem long gone.
Totally gone.
Yeah.
Because today you've got social media, hyperfast trend cycles, global events popping up, shifts in consumer values.
Yeah.
That old linear approach, it's just obsolete. Pavon is really clear. She stresses that past linear strategies are simply not valid in a world that is nonlinear and that is constantly moving.
So for our listeners in e-commerce, what does that actually mean day to day?
Well, for you in e-commerce, this isn't just theory, it's your reality, right?
Right.
It means constant adaptation isn't just a nice to have, it's your baseline. Your strategic plans, they need to be like living documents, dynamic, responsive, because consumer behaviors, online trends, market conditions, they're always shifting online, sometimes minute by minute.
Wow.
So if your e-commerce platform or your merchandising strategy isn't built for flexibility, well, you'll just be chasing last season's ghost. It's really about building agility into your quarterly, even your monthly planning cycles, moving away from those rigid annual roadmaps towards maybe rapid experimentation sprints for new product launches or marketing campaigns.
And basing those sprints on real-time data.
Exactly, directly informed by that real-time online sales data. That's the key.
Okay, that's a huge distinction. So if we are operating in this VUCA world where nothing stays still, how do brands find their footing? Where are the bright spots? What are our sources pointing toward?
Technology. Definitely technology. Maximilien Abadie from Lectra, they're a global leader in integrated tech for fashion design, development, manufacturing. He puts it pretty bluntly.
Okay.
He says, for companies to be successful, they need to know the way their products are manufactured and sold. Because if you don't master your supply chain, you are operating blind and you are losing a competitive advantage.
Operating blind. That's stark.
It is. And it's not just about having some tech sprinkled around. It's about deep integrated knowledge across your entire operation. That's really Lectra's core philosophy, actually. They offer solutions across create, manufacture, and market. It gives you this holistic view.
And didn't you mention their reach is pretty significant?
Oh, yeah. It gives you pause when you realize that something like 33% of clothing worldwide is designed using Lectra software. That's
Hmm.
that's an incredible level of influence.
Wow, 33%. That's huge. Does that kind of influence also come with maybe unique responsibilities, like for setting industry standards or perhaps driving sustainability? And how does that integrated approach actually give a brand a competitive edge?
It absolutely does on both counts, and it really raises the stakes for the whole industry. If we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Mhm.
this mastery isn't just about tweaking one part of the business, it's all about interconnectivity. Abadie is super clear. If you don't master creation, manufacturing, and marketing at the same time, he says, you will fail.
So the old way of doing things is finished. Design throws it over the wall to production, production hands it off to marketing.
Yeah, that era of siloed departments, it's dead. Your e-commerce store, it needs to reflect that seamless integration from end to end.
Okay, but how do you approach implementing the tech? Is it just about buying the latest software?
See, that's where Andrea Pavon offers some really crucial advice. She says, start with business problems, not technologies.
Okay, that sounds simple, but probably profound in practice.
It really is. It's a major mindset shift. She shared this really telling example. A luxury brand, they implemented a brand new communication channel for their sales advisors to connect with clients. They thought, this is progress. Makes sense on paper. Right. The problem was their clients overwhelmingly preferred using WhatsApp. They were already using it. So this new channel just became a source of frustration for the sales advisors who now had to juggle two platforms. And ultimately, it added zero value for the customer. It was basically tech looking for a problem to solve.
That's such a good example. Tech for tech's sake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for you in e-commerce, this is absolutely vital. Before you sink a load of cash into the latest AI tool for your website or some cutting-edge marketing automation platform, just pause. Ask, what specific real business problem are we actually trying to solve here?
Right. Will it genuinely improve the customer journey? Or streamline operations? Or boost efficiency?
Or are we just, as Pavon puts it, falling in love with a specific technology because it sounds cool or new? Your budget, your resources, they're precious. Aim them at the real pain points, not just the, shiny objects.
That WhatsApp example really sticks with you, doesn't it? Building a Rolls Royce when the customer just wanted the moped they already had, and cheaper. It brings us to a point. Abadie really hammers home, doesn't it? The absolute need to remove those silos seems tough in big companies, but maybe not optional anymore.
Precisely. Abadie says today, many companies are still working in silos, in a step-by-step mode. I have the design, I move to the development, then the sourcing, then the production, then the market. He's emphatic. Everything has to be connected if you want to be successful.
Like a relay race where everyone keeps dropping the baton.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That's the siloed approach. But the new reality, especially now that AI and generative AI are hitting what they call an inflection point, demands that these technologies fundamentally change how brands produce, design, and sell. Right from the initial concept to that final click on your e-commerce site.
So it's not just about speed, it's about changing roles too.
Oh, absolutely. It's about reshaping entire roles, skill sets within companies, creating entirely new functions while others evolve or, frankly, disappear. Pavon even cites a World Economic Forum report predicting something like 170 million new roles created by 2030, but also 90 million displaced.
Wow, those numbers are staggering. And that's not some distant future, is it?
Not at all. It's happening right now. So for you in e-commerce, this means you probably need to urgently reevaluate your internal team structures and skill sets. How can your design, merchandising, marketing, logistics, customer service teams, how can they truly operate as one connected unit?
Using technology to speed things up and react faster.
Exactly. Leveraging technology to accelerate product to market and respond to customer demand in, ideally, real time. It's not just about sharing documents anymore. It's about shared data platforms, cross-functional teams, a collective understanding of that customer journey end to end, the old handoff model. It just won't cut it when trends vanish overnight and attention spans are, well, tiny.
Okay, so we have all these interconnected parts, technologies, breaking down silos. But what about trust? Especially in e-commerce, where the customer can't physically touch the product initially. Abadie mentions something about the sheer number of companies involved in one product.
Yeah, he made that astute observation. Behind each product in the fashion industry, you have dozens of companies.
Dozens. That's a lot of potential points where things could go wrong, or I guess points of pride if managed well.
Exactly. And this raises a huge question for brands, one that directly impacts your online reputation. Abadie points out that if you don't know your suppliers and the suppliers of your suppliers, you risk serious consumer backlash if an issue pops up.
Like ethical sourcing issues, or environmental impact, or quality problems.
Precisely. Even if you're not legally forced to know every single entity in that complex chain, the consumer blame can still land squarely on your brand. And that affects your brand image over the long run. Because consumers, especially younger ones, they're increasingly demanding transparency and accountability. They want the story behind the garment they're clicking buy on.
So it's about data along that whole chain.
He strongly emphasizes that. Leveraging data all along this chain from creation to manufacturing to marketing is key. It's more than just ticking compliance boxes. It's about building a solid reputation, ensuring the product you're selling online truly reflects your brand's values and promises.
So how does that translate practically for an e-commerce business?
Well, think about it on the ground. Transparency isn't a niche thing anymore. It's a mainstream demand. Can your online store effectively tell the journey of a product, from the raw material right to your customer's doorstep?
Maybe with interactive maps or QR codes on product pages.
Yeah, exactly. Linking to supplier info, maybe digital storytelling about the craftsmanship. How does having robust, connected supply chain data actually build trust and differentiate your brand in a really crowded digital marketplace?
Right.
This kind of deep knowledge and the ability to share it can be a massive competitive advantage. It turns traceability from just a chore into a compelling brand story that clicks with today's conscious consumers.
Okay, so it's clear technology is a huge piece of the puzzle. But our sources also stress something else, something maybe less tangible but just as crucial, especially in fashion culture.
Oh, absolutely.
You can have all the fancy tech, but if the internal culture isn't right, yeah, it's like trying to run that marathon in flip-flops, right?
Perfect analogy. Andrea Pavon really stresses that speed and agility are so important, and she says there's no room today for companies that don't adapt quickly. But this isn't just about operational speed, it's about cultural nimbleness. She introduces this really powerful idea of creating a culture of owners, where people within the organization feel responsible to take the right decisions at the right time. In a fast-moving VUCA world, you just can't afford to have every single decision bottlenecked at the top management level.
Because things move too fast.
Exactly. And in that kind of dynamic environment, she says, you're going to make mistakes, but that's good. Which sounds counterintuitive, maybe.
Yeah, mistakes being good.
But she argues because you need people, you need a culture that is about experimentation, imagination, creativity. This is vital for looking ahead. You can't predict every trend, every consumer whim, so you have to test, explore, learn fast from what doesn't work.
And communication is key there, too.
Crucial. Pavon highlights the need for a culture of communication and feedback. Why? To foster optimism and collaboration, rather than fear. If people are afraid to make mistakes, they slow down, they stop innovating. And that's the last thing you want in a world demanding rapid change.
So like empowering your digital teams, maybe? Letting them A/B test page layouts without waiting for endless approvals.
That's a perfect example, giving them direct responsibility for conversion rates, say. That builds that culture of owners.
That is a big shift, moving away from a blame culture towards learning. But what about creativity itself? That's the heart of fashion, right? Does all this tech diminish the human touch? Or does it actually enhance it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Abadie is really clear on this. He says, technology is an enabler of creativity. Full stop. Not a constraint.
An enabler. How?
He argues it facilitates your life. It lets you automate the repetitive stuff, the drudgery, so you can focus on the higher value creative work. He insists AI and generative AI will not replace humans for everything, especially not that crucial feeling people buy from a brand.
That emotional connection, the brand's soul.
Exactly. That soul, the unique aesthetic, the storytelling, those remain inherently human domains. And Andrea Pavon echoes this. She uses a powerful quote from Dr. Helen Popijanis, protect the soul, embrace the future.
Protect the soul, embrace the future. I like that.
Me too. Technology, in this view, acts as a bridge to creativity, heritage, and savoir-faire. It's not about replacing the human element, but amplifying it.
So for our listeners in fashion e-commerce, what's the takeaway? How do they use tech to amplify, not replace?
Well, think about how you can empower your teams to experiment with new digital tools, Maybe for design, maybe for marketing, using AI tools to generate initial concepts, perhaps. Or create diverse ad copy for different audiences. Maybe power virtual try-on experiences that actually improve the customer journey.
Freeing up people for the unique stuff.
Precisely, freeing up your human designers, your marketers to focus on what's truly unique, what's emotional, what's strategic about your brand. The question for you is, how can you use technology to amplify your human-led creativity? How do you connect more deeply with customers online, ensuring your brand's unique soul and story really shine through instead of getting lost in the tech?
Wow. What an incredible deep dive. Okay, so we've really unpacked how facing this market uncertainty needs like a holistic view. It's about breaking down those internal silos, really ensuring robust supply chain traceability, and maybe most importantly, cultivating a culture of agility, experimentation, and trust.
Yeah, they're not just buzzwords anymore.
Not at all. They're absolutely essential for, sustainable success in fashion e-commerce today. And that crucial takeaway, remember, technology isn't here to replace human creativity. It's here to empower it, enhance it, letting the true soul of your brand shine even brighter.
Well said.
Okay, a huge thank you again to our sponsor, Cloutfit.ai. Remember, that's CLOUTFIT.ai, the platform helping you turn influencer content into instant sales. To learn more about how they can transform your e-commerce strategy, do visit Cloutfit.ai.
Definitely go check it out.
And if you found this deep dive valuable and relevant to your work, please do share it with a colleague. Anyone else navigating this fast-paced fashion e-commerce world. And of course, please hit that subscribe button so you can catch future episodes of The Fashion Algorithm.
And maybe just one final thought for you to mull over as you navigate all the complexities of fashion e-commerce we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Given everything we've discussed about protecting the soul of a brand while embracing technology, take a moment. What unique, maybe intangible element of your brand will you fiercely protect no matter what? And conversely, what new technological bridge will you dare to cross next to ensure its future relevance and reach in the digital world?